It's the digital age now. I'm going to fire every single one of the craftsmen.
I heard such a voice coming from a room I passed, the voice of the second president. As a craftsman, I involuntarily backed away from the room, trying not to make a sound with my footsteps. My name is Samuel. I'm 45 years old. I'm a factory worker, and I've been working here since I was 20 years old. I've been a craftsman for 25 years this year. I studied at a technical high school and worked for another company right out of high school, but the company went bankrupt 2 years after I started working there. The president of the factory I was working for at the time approached me and asked me to change jobs. The president had always said that he wanted to make this factory a homey atmosphere, and his wife would sometimes serve us lunch at noon. The president and his wife treated us employees well, and it is no exaggeration to say that they were my second parents after I came from the countryside and started working here. I got married at the age of 26, and of course the president and his wife came to my wedding, and when my daughter and son were born, they treated them as if they were their grandchild. The other employees were also very friendly, and I thought it was an ideal place to work. But a few months ago, the president fell ill and was hospitalized. While he was in the hospital, he was found to be suffering from another illness, albeit a minor one, and it became difficult to manage the factory. The president's wife was wondering whether the factory should be closed. The most senior employee was the managing director, who had known the president for many years. The managing director temporarily took over as president and kept the factory running. A month later, the president's wife told the managing director that the president's younger brother wanted to take over the company, and that she had decided to entrust it to him. And so the president's younger brother comes to greet us as the second president. We had never seen him before, and we were nervous about what kind of person he would be, but the second president who arrived was about 50 years old. The second president, who said he had worked at another factory, had a low profile and was indeed the younger brother of the previous president. We accepted the second president as our new boss and started working with renewed enthusiasm. However, after half a month, something strange started to happen. The wife of the previous president was doing the accounting, but she was replaced by the wife of the second president. The previous president was said to be recuperating at home, so his wife was accompanying him. Up to this point, it was an understandable story, but when the wife of the second president started coming to the company, suddenly there was talk of reducing bonuses. Our boss said that our bonus would be reduced to half of what it had been before.
It's crazy for you to think you can get a bonus when we're running a business on such a tight budget. You should be grateful to get even a little bit, he said to us. When you put it that way, maybe it was inevitable, but it was painful to suddenly have my bonus reduced. And the executive director who had opposed it was gone before I knew it. Apparently he was fired, so anyone who argues against it is in the way. Our boss came to the place where we were working and told us, "If I did this, I would get it done twice as fast. You guys have been working here for years. Get on with it," he says to us. We were surprised at the change in his demeanor, but it seems that this is the real him. It seems that the second president also worked at the factory, but no one knows what he did there or what kind of work he did. Now, I don't know what kind of skills the second president has. He never touches anything, even though he says it's faster if he does it himself. You call it a craft, but anyone can do it, right?
I was once told that to my face, and ever since then I've never thought well of my boss. I'm in the middle of teaching a guy named Tom, who joined the company a year ago. The main machine is an expensive machine that has been in use for many years and costs $3 million. It's a tricky machine to make it work, so I'm teaching Tom how to use it. Lately, it's been a little sluggish, and if we try to force it to do something, we have to go through a complicated process to fix it. Tom is an enthusiastic learner and is a valuable asset to the company, but our boss is not so keen on me teaching Tom such skills.
I don't see what good it would do for you to teach him that kind of technology,
he said to me. Tom had a stubborn streak and a strong work ethic, and he was about to go off on our boss, but I didn't want that to affect Tom's reputation, so I suppressed him. I took over for him and said, "Boss, you can't make products without craftsmen, and we take pride in our work, so can you please stop talking like that?" I said. Tom nodded with his eyebrows furrowed and his mouth agape. Our boss replied,
"You're being cocky,"
and walked away.
"What's his problem?"
Tom says in a hushed voice once the boss leaves. "I'm sure someday he'll realize how important we are," I said, but Tom looked unconvinced and went back to his work. Sometime later, as I walked past the president's office, I heard our boss's voice from inside.
"It's the digital age now. I'm going to fire every single one of the craftsmen."
I stopped in my tracks. I'm a craftsman, right? Maybe I shouldn't have listened to that. I back away, trying not to make a sound. When I get back to work, Tom asks me,
"Samuel, what's wrong? You don't look so good."
I couldn't talk to Tom about it, so I told him I was fine and went back to work. 3 days later, I was called by the boss.
"You're going to quit at the end of this month."
What? What I overheard was true, but I asked him just in case. Who's going to maintain the machines when I leave? I'm in the process of teaching Tom, but there's still a lot he can't handle. But the second president snickers.
"We're going digital. We'll change the machines too. It's cheaper to install new machines than it is to pay for your labor. Oh, and I'm going to have that young guy quit too."
So Tom and I are getting fired.
"We'll have a little more money to spend if we can get rid of the useless but overpaid workers. Good luck with your job search."
The second president said and laughed, and so it was decided that I would leave the company in half a month. A week later, the second president is all excited about a new machine. I wondered how great the opportunity would be, but it turned out to be a very small machine. I wondered if they can work with that. As I was staring at the new machine, the second president came up to me and said,
"That big, stupid machine that costs $3 million is outdated, isn't it?"
He laughs. "That's the machine I've been maintaining and using for the main part of our business." Does the previous president know about this? There is a chance that with a new machine, they may not be able to do the work we used to be able to do. I wonder if he is okay with that. Although I had already been fired, I was still concerned about the previous president and asked him about it. Then the second president became angry.
"I am the current president. My brother has nothing to do with this. He's always like that. He's good at what he does, his parents trust him, everyone around him trusts him. He's the boss, and I was just a factory worker. I went to a better college than him, but there's still this gap between our skill. But now, he's gone. I got into this position by outmaneuvering my sister-in-law. Now, I'm going to rebuild this factory and get back at people who were always praising him."
I feel like I've heard a great deal. So he's saying that he has a grudge against the previous president, who was trusted by everyone around him for a long time? Did he take over the presidency by rounding up his wife, who had her hands full taking care of her husband? According to the second president, he and the previous president had very little contact with each other, and he probably told the previous president's wife that the employees would be in trouble if the factory was closed. The second president has a massive complex about the previous president, but I advised him to make sure. Is it okay that you may not be able to do some of the things we used to be able to do? Or are you going to use the existing machines as well? If you're going to use them both, you'll be in big trouble if you make all the craftsmen quit. Then my boss said to me,
"If we don't have to use that troublesome machine, that would be better. That's why we installed the new machine,"
he says. If he said that much, there was nothing more I could say to him. I never spoke to the second president again, and the day of my retirement arrived. Today is my last day at work. I have many fond memories of the previous president, and it pains me to quit, but I can't keep up with the second president. There were some things that needed to be delivered, but since I'm retiring today, I don't feel like working overtime. Tom is the same way. We went to our lockers at the end of the workday. Then the second president came running into the locker room.
"Hey, Get back to work.
He said this to us, sounding very panicked. Why? I asked him calmly.
The $3 million machine broke. Hurry up and fix it.
He seemed to be panicking, and he said this and walked out of the locker room. Tom and I look at each other. I sigh. He's so selfish. I told him this would happen. I told him that the machine was acting up, and he forced it to work.
Samuel, what are you going to do? It's almost time to go.
Tom asked me that. Yeah, you're right. Let's go home. We left the locker room and headed for the exit. At that moment, we heard the sound of heavy footsteps, and our boss came back.
What are you doing? Come quickly.
I wonder how impatient he is. Before he left the scene again, I'm not going, I told him.
What are you talking about? The machine broke down. It's your job to fix it, isn't it?
The second president finally stopped and turned around to tell me this. I laughed and said, Yes, I'm the only one who can fix it, but I can't because I got fired, I said. The second president was furious, but I didn't care. It's past my regular working hours, so I'm going to leave the office. Besides, you installed a new machine, so you aren't going to use the old one, right? We can only make products that are chose to the delivery date on the old machine. It's been in bad shape lately, and you probably broke it by forcing it, didn't you? The president clammed up. I seemed to have hit the nail on the head. Well, I warned you, but you didn't listen to me. Not only that, you fired me and Tom, the craftsmen. I'm sure there's a heavy price to pay, but good luck with that. I smiled and headed for the exit. Tom followed me, but the boss stopped him.
Hey, I don't care if it's you. Come on, hurry.
The second president grabbed Tom's arm, but Tom shook it off.
That was something only Samuel could fix. I didn't get taught to fix it yet, so I don't know what to do.
The second president grew increasingly pale, but he remained strong as ever.
I'm taking back your termination. You can come to work tomorrow, so work overtime today and fix the machine, he says.
Tom and I looked at each other and laughed.
That's impossible,
Tom said triumphantly. The second president raises his eyebrows. I told him, the previous president introduced us to a new job, and we're going to work at the new factory starting tomorrow, I declared.
What?
The second president is angry, but it doesn't matter. I continue to explain. I told the previous president that you recently installed a new machine and that you fired us. He told me that you haven't been visiting him at all. The previous president was concerned about the state of the business, so I told him all about you. He said he's retired, so he can do as he likes, but he didn't want to mistreat his employees, so he referred us to a new company. Oh, and the executive director you fired in the first place is now working for another company. The previous president said he would contact all of your current clients, so maybe it will impact your future business dealings. Well, good luck with your new business, or whatever you do. If you'll excuse me. The second president's face changed color as he listened to my story, but he looked at us regretfully, as if he had nothing to say in return. The next day, Tom and I started working at the new factory. The president of the new factory had a close relationship with the previous president. I have heard about you, Samuel. It's great to have a skilled craftsman working here. Tom, you're young, but you're dependable, he said to us. I often go to visit the previous president at the hospital. I hear that he is doing well in his daily life, and he and his wife are enjoying their time together now. Just the other day, I heard that the previous factory was on the verge of going out of business. No one could operate that machine, after all. And when they tried to request maintenance, they were turned down by everyone who said they didn't know if they could fix it because it was a special machine. As a result, they couldn't meet the delivery date to the customer and had to pay a penalty. So they decided to lower the salaries of the employees. Then the employees started to leave the company, and they couldn't hire new employees. After a while, they hired a couple of foreigners, but they went AWOL on the third day. And on top of that, the money they had left the company was stolen, and they lost contact with them.
If they had at least left you behind, this would not have happened.
Tom laughs as he tells the story. I guess that's what you call getting what you deserve. I nodded and laughed along with Tom. 3 months after I left, I received a call on my cell phone from my old factory. I answered it anyway. It was the second president with tears in his voice.
Please, come back.
He was begging me to come back. So I asked him what was going on.
We've lost our business partners. If we don't do something, we'll go out of business,
he cried. Apparently, one after another, his customers started rejecting him because he couldn't meet their deadlines or his products were too poorly made. I sighed. If you don't have clients, I can't do anything about that. If I don't have to make products, I don't have to run machines. You were the one who said that anyone can do a craftsman's work. If you need to run the machine, why don't you do it yourself? Then the second president said, I was just an office worker at a factory before. I can't run a machine. He yelled at me. I couldn't help but laugh at his words. And yet, you repeatedly made disparaging remarks about craftsmen? Oh, so you're a clerical worker, so you didn't understand the importance of craftsmen. Could you at least apologize to me? The second president is apparently emotionally unstable. I thought he was angry, but then he started crying.
I'm sorry, sir. Please, come back and start the machine,
he said to me. I was tired of him, so I said, I'll return if you pay me twice my original salary. When I said this, he replies,
I can't.
I hung up the phone when he said this in a desperate voice. I heard from the previous president that the wife of the second president had given up on him and left him. The factory finally went out of business, and the second president was in debt and working part-time jobs. One day I went to a gas station, and the clerk at the register turned his head away. So I looked closer and saw that it was the second president. He had lost a lot of weight, and I didn't recognize him. He kept pretending not to notice me. So after I finished paying, I went to the cashier and spoke to him. Long time no see, boss, I said to him. My ex-boss's face turns red, and he bites his lip in frustration. I'm working hard at my new job, learning new skills. Tom is learning a lot, and I'm happy for him. I'm grateful to still be able to work as a craftsman. I'm going to continue to make the most of my abilities here. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. Have a great day!